Good morning. Unfortunately, I've had to come to call the attention to one such person who has a very bad inclination to defame, to speak lashon hara, to even speak motzi shemra on other rabbis, and it really disgusts me that I even have to do this in order to warn the public of such toxic rabbis that are doing more harm to those who are searching out for truth than good. Before going into his entire series of what drives him as if he is the sole source of truth, and we're speaking about this gentleman right here and his entire inclination, Yetzer hara, of wanting to declare everyone heretics. For him, everyone but him is a heretic. For those who've seen his videos, and many times it sounds like a righteous preacher, hell and fire, brimstone preacher, and in fact what he's doing is creating more sinat hinam in the Jewish world than ever before. Excuse me. And what we know, sinat hinam, is what destroyed the Second Temple and brought us here to exile. And we apparently are having still the same problem with such very Haredi rabbis, who this gentleman is a Baal Shuva. As you can tell, he prides himself of having gone and left his million, but he's collecting a lot of millions of dollars through religion, through his website, and his antics. I'm going to first show you a video that really disturbed me because it's an onslaught attack, ad hominem attack, and he put together in such a way that he took words from here, words from there, from this other rabbi, who Mr. Reuven dares not to debate him because he knows he will be umped. Umped in what sense? Umped in the sense of Torah and rational logic. And unfortunately, you have these individuals that speak out of emotions, primarily out of esotericism, and not out of Torah, and not out of basic halacha. So I'm going to take a look over here, because this gentleman, Mr. Meza, has been the antic and focus of attack of many people. If you notice, Yaron Reuven created a site called Heretics Exposed, and he's doing this under the cover. Now, he's exposing this in a very, very interesting way because he is pushing him as if he was a missionary. Mr. Meza is not a missionary. He does not believe in Jesus, although he embraces people who basically happen to believe messianic concepts, just like, for example, those who believe in the Lubavitcher Rebbe as Messiah. He will embrace a Chabadnik, not a problem, who happens to be a Meshachist. In the same way, he would embrace a Christian who happens to believe that Jesus is their Messiah, or a Jew, even at that. But that doesn't make him a heretic. Now, this video that you will see basically takes out of context a great number of statements that Mr. Meza made within conversation and dialogues. It's as if someone would take out of context a word in order to create a whole attack or ad hominem attack. And this is what this is all about. So when you see these things like this, please keep aware this is the antic of the so-called Rabbi Yaron Reuven, who has gone crazy on attacking everyone that doesn't smell that they're correct. We're going to show it on his own YouTube page. But I think when people see something like that, they should go over here to the page where it asks you to report and send a report to YouTube to have such shtus removed, such hatred removed. I'm going to go ahead and press this so you can have an idea of what this guy is up to, Mr. Reuven, and why he's doing it, because of the great influence that Asher Mesa is having all around the world and bringing people to conversion, something which Mr. Yaron Reuven charges anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per pop. So what Mr. Yaron Reuven is really involved in is in lashon hara, is in slandering a character, a person in public media. And you may agree and disagree, but he has no respect for other rabbis or other leaders of different opinions. And we're going to see that on his page. And this needs to be completely made known. Let's take a look at what he did just recently with Rabbi Meza, calling him a spiritual cancer promoting idolatry, which he doesn't promote idolatry. But let's go ahead and give him that chance. Apparently they have the commercial here. I want to try to push the commercial forward so we can see the actual video.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God.
Now keep in mind, all these commercials are being funded by the YouTube channel, which makes money for Yaron Reuven by Christian advertisers. Interesting enough, he'll criticize the Christians, but he won't. But he doesn't mind getting the money from the Christians. Let's see if we get this moved here.
There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came.
There we go. It keeps on shooting up over here. Incredible, you see that? Move it back to where it was, which is this video. All right, here we go. Notice what he's typing on top of the face of Asher Meza, telling him an enemy of the Torah and the Jewish people.
That means we don't know. I mean, it might be true, it might not be true. I mean, Jesus might be the Messiah or might not be the Messiah. Like, we don't know. Like, just like we don't know if Christianity is idolatry. Right? I mean, you may think it's idolatry. You know, like, if the New Testament moves you, then it brings you closer to God and closer to Torah. I'm all for you studying it. Jesus, for sure, like, people could not disagree that he was a kiruv worker. He was an outreach worker. Why not? If you believe in so much Kabbalistic literature, which I believe is a lot more problematic than just 27 books of the New Testament, why not just throw like another Jewish mystic named Jesus into the mix? But does it mean that they can't be my friends? I mean, I hang out with a lot of people. I mean, I got Messianics who come over to my house. I don't care. You know, I hold Messianic Judaism as a valid form of Judaism. That Messianic Jews are your brothers. That's right, my friends. Messianic Jews are your brothers and your sisters. It doesn't matter who you think the Messiah happens to be, whether you believe it's the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whether you believe it's Rabbi Nachman, whether you believe it's Yeshua, it doesn't matter. Even if you believe that your Messiah is the Atzmut.
You notice it's interesting that he quotes the 13th principle of faith. God has no body nor likeness, but this gentleman doesn't speak anything about Chabad, who believes that the Rebbe is a very Ein Sof in a human form.
By the church, because it's a station that's going to be run by Israeli Christians, teaching a watered down form of Judaism, right? It's like some form of Christianity. I was for them. I was for God TV being allowed to broadcast in Israel because I believe that if a secular Israeli is not going to become an Orthodox Jew, at least he would become a Christian.
God TV is passionate about the land of Israel, standing
And by the way, this
with
view
the last
of
25
letting God
years.
TV
We're a voice for Israel.
in Israel
Listen to Israel.
as a better
You, me, all of
way
us
to be
that
able
take
to
this
bring
gospel
Israelis
ends
into the
on
belief
the
in one
earth.
God
Encounter Israel.
has been espoused by other
International
rabbis, not
Christian
only
Embassy,
by Meza.
Jerusalem. Out of Zion,
It is only to the
Friedman,
concern that
Cantor.
they
We
become
bless you here from Zion.
messianic,
We bless you from the West
messianic for
Israel.
Jesus
The
that brought
Bible
the concern.
to life.
But if they would be messianic for the
God in
Lubavitcher Rebbe,
changing
there would
ways.
be no problem.
God's plan of redemption was to
Double standards is what we're
remove
referring
the
to.
people that are known today as the Jewish people. Discovering the Jewish Jesus.
I, for one, was in
Messianic
favor of
Rabbi
seeing God
Schneider.
TV
If
in
you've not
Israel better
already
than
heard,
porno
God TV
and
has
other
been given
godless
the
medias
government permission
being given
to
free rights
broadcast
into
the
Israel.
gospel of Jesus Christ,
Plus the effect they
Yeshua the
could have
Messiah,
around the
in Israel, on cable
surrounding
television, in the Hebrew
citizenry.
language.
We're talking about the
Never before, as
Palestinians
far
and
as
the
we know in
Arab
the history of the
population.
world, has this ever been done. God has supernaturally opened the door for us to take the gospel of Jesus into the homes and lives and hearts of his Jewish people. Jesus is the Jewish Messiah. He is the Son of God. He is the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world. And friends, when the Holy Spirit
Obviously, that's
begins
not the
to
case,
hover
but
and begins to come through that TV screen, and men and women are sitting there, those same ones that
and
spat
apparently
in the
Yaron
name of
Reuven forgot what
Jesus,
a Barbanel
when they're sitting there, the
states
Holy
that,
Spirit
in
begins to
fact,
work in their
before
life.
the coming of Mashiach,
You know, it's just easy to
Esau would
say,
take
but
over
I
the
accept
mount
Jesus in my heart, right?
of
Instead of
Har
saying,
Sion.
I can't eat that cheeseburger that looks so delicious. So, for sure, I prefer every Israeli, if he's not going to accept all of Torah, to at least become Christian. Or even some ethical form of Islam. I mean, I prefer a Christian country. TorahJudaism.com is here to build bridges with the Torah-observant Messianic community and the Jews who happen not to believe in any Messiah at all. It doesn't matter. We're building bridges. See, this is why taking a different approach to Messianic Jews might be beneficial. I think that instead of being single and probably breaking down and just marrying an atheist just because they happen not to be Christian is not the right path. I think that what you should do is consider dating people in the Messianic world.
Well, I thought, okay, correct me if you just blew my mind again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Jews were required to only marry Jews. Isn't that, did I miss the memo somewhere?
One, he's not Jewish yet. Two, he's not living in a Jewish community, so no Jewish Orthodox person is going to marry them. So we just can't always cite the ideal. Yes, the ideal is that he should move into an Orthodox community, convert, go to yeshiva, learn in kollel. That's for sure not the ideal. I'm against people learning in kollel. But for sure, we're not dealing with ideals here. The notion of the New Testament. Well, they bring a new book to the table. Since when has that been an issue? Finding inspiration from outside books. Okay, friends, today I want to talk to you about the Noahide, the Ger or Ger Toshav movement. And this is really directed toward non-Jewish former Christians, which is predominantly the audience that these groups target. Friends, my message to you is that you really, really should know better. You should really know better than be convinced and to join.
Now, the state that Christians would be better staying Christians than the seventh Noahide law is also an opinion that is espoused by a 17th century Talmudist named Jacob Emden. Says Christianity brought a double blessing upon the world. He didn't say that of Noahide, by the way. He only said that of Christianity. So there are different agreements or covenants that were brought about. And because you don't understand, Mr. Yaron Reuven, nor have you probably read or understood, but clearly Christianity gives much more benefits to those who believe in one God but happens to have a wrong Messiah figure. And those ideas of even learning all Torah is permissible to them. Not like the Noahide states that a non-Jew, if they study Torah, is basically removed off of this world and should be killed. That's not explained. So it's lamentable to see that the Noahide movement is being used in order to replace Christianity when in fact Christianity is on a higher plane than the Noahide. And I've taught Noahide groups, and I've seen how many of their lives spiritually have gone down, not up, in sanctity. Most of them who have wanted to move forward have converted to Orthodox Judaism in order to have community, but by and large, there are no true infrastructure or community within the Nolchad except some scattered groups that Chabad is trying to organize in order to financially benefit from them. So this is completely out of context of what you just posted up there about what he was saying.
You have been convinced by others to take your Bible and throw it away. You have been convinced that what appears there is not for you to keep, that God has given you another standard, that you should forget about.
The Mishnah Torah that you're citing here is also out of context, because only conversion is offered first to the nations, and if they refuse to convert, it says very clearly, then they should at least accept, and it uses the word, the Rambam, you should at least accept the 7 universal laws, only after giving them the opportunity to be part of Klal Yisrael.
The Judaic foundation of their beliefs. I have to say, my friends, that I love Christians and Mormons even more. And honestly, I would rather every secular Jew, if he's not going to embrace Torah Judaism, to please join one of these movements, and by doing so, you'll be doing the world a great service. So,
better an Israeli that basically believes in one God and has some false notion than a complete atheist is the concept here. An atheist is completely a whole different status.
The guy seems like a decent guy, from Torah keeping guy, and I'm pretty sure he converted.
Okay, he made a mistake. He did not convert.
Jewish past, that doesn't mean he's a fake convert. Yeah, it's a shame what they're doing to the guy, because I want to get his side of the story. I'm pretty sure that he may have had an Meza conversion, or something.
You could get married.
His father's a Baptist.
The French Hill?
Yes,
The French
his
Hill.
parents are not Jewish. Right, French Hill. Right, he lives in French Hill.
Right, so what makes him Jewish?
Okay, we should give him the decent, we should have the
Unless you want to
decency
marry him.
of letting him speak.
Father, I ask you to just be with
This gentleman deceived the Jewish people, saying he was a Cohen when he was not, saying he was Jewish when he was not, saying that he had converted when he had not. So this is a shanda. This gentleman in particular, let's stick to the topic. The opinions expressed by Rabbi Meza over this gentleman is his opinion. It may not be based on fact. But to be able to make this incident, as it were, your accusation on Mr. Meza is pathetic, it's wrong, it's reprehensible, and is also causing sinat hinam on many levels, which you are now responsible for. And if it would only be Meza, I would probably just stop right here. But it's not only Meza that you do this thing. You've done this thing with many other rabbis, as I'm going to show here now on your page. You deal with what drives the heretics. And apparently you're not a heretic. You're the only one. You and Mizrahi are the only ones that are not heretic. You also talked about Ben Shapiro. He's a heretic. Now you tell you a fool versus a heretic. Maybe you're projecting your own problems onto others. Here we have another one. Dror Kasuta, who reaches millions, or you're trying to get their audience. I don't know. He has 40,000 followers. You only have 21. Maybe that's what you're trying to do. I don't know. But obviously there's a problem with you, Mr. Reuven. And the problem is you see and you project everyone to be a heretic. You're the only one that's not a heretic. You're the only one that you're not a heretic. Or so you say. And I think you are. You may well be a very hidden heretic. And then we have this other here, Rabbi Mannis Friedman. Rabbi Mannis Friedman, I have been in disagreement with, but I don't go out and declare him to be a heretic like you have. You do this. This is the type of thing that causes unwarranted hatred. You are destroying, Mr. Yaron Reuven, the temple. You're destroying the opportunity to be able to return. You're postponing the Mashiach by your sinat hinam. Again, Ben Shapiro and his dangerous friends. And then you go into the Satan's wife, again, Mannis Friedman. But you don't stop there. You attack every single Jewish forefront leader. Dennis Prager, unmasked. What do you mean unmasked? There has been a voice of universal morality of the 7 universal laws has been this gentleman from California, but you don't like him, so you attack him. You don't agree with his opinion. And then you go into the whole esoteric mysticism, just like Christians do, when it's everything blaming on the devil and heretics. You have a problem. You don't stop there, Mr. Reuven. You also begin with Rabbi Joseph Dwuek, a Sephardic rabbi. And you go hit David and Jonathan. Anyone you disagree with, you declare and put the label heretic. And now you threaten Christians on religious Jews, messianic ends of days. It's like you're obsessed with anyone who doesn't agree with you, and you label them heretics. You label heretics even Rabbi Yaakov David Spivak. You label. I mean, I'm looking at here, and almost like everyone you don't agree with, you label heretic. They should change your name to Yaron Reuven, the declarer of heretic. You have a problem, no doubt about it. You declared Rabbi Efrem Goldberg, who is a very wise and smart rabbi out of Boca Raton Synagogue. You declared also the previous Lord rabbi from in England, also a heretic. How far will you go to continue to declare people heretic? Everyone for you is heretic. And it's about time for you to stop your nonsense. It is completely, incredible. Now, Mass Friedman is mocking victims of pedophilia. You call him also heretic. I mean, it's sickening to watch your videos, to be honest with you. And I know this site is yours. I looked into it. This site called The Heretic Exposed, in order to create more expose and so forth. Unfortunately, you are completely in a state of denial, and I call people not to support you, not to even push your videos. As a matter of fact, your video, this one here, I'm going to send a report to YouTube as not only promoting hatred but also harassment, because you've actually mentioned a particular person on here, and I think your site, Heretic Exposed, as well as your other site of Yaron Reuven, should both be knocked down for inciting hatred, inciting harassment of a fellow Jew or fellow Jews, and that I mean even Rabbi Mannis Friedman. You're talking about Efrem Goldberg and other rabbis. How dare you create and promote more unwarranted hatred when we have even non-Jews hating? This is the cause for anti-Semitism, Mr. Yaron Reuven. This is the cause for the delay of Mashiach, Mr. Yaron Reuven. It is on your shoulder that the sin of Sinat Hinam weighs very, very heavily. And there's evidence of this all throughout your YouTube. You should need to do teshuvah, you need to repent and ask mechila from all of these rabbis who you have defamed and you have spoken evil about, all in the name of you being the correct one and everybody else is heretic, but you. You're the only one that has not been declared a heretic. No, you're right. You may not be declared a heretic because you are the instigator of unwarranted hatred among Jews.